BlackRock plots to buy Ukraine. That's the story from Bradley Devlin from the American Conservative. It says Ukraine has a new Western backer. It's not a nation state or a military contractor. It's the financial firm BlackRock. Ukraine announced Wednesday, this is a couple weeks ago, but I think this is an important story to cover, that Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelenskyy had a video teleconference with BlackRock Chief Executive Officer Larry Fink. The pair apparently struck a deal to coordinate investment efforts to rebuild the war-torn nation. A readout of the meeting on the Ukrainian president's website boasted BlackRock's involvement, calling the firm one of the world's leading investment managers, and noted that it manages client assets worth about $8 trillion. Zelenskyy and Larry Fink agreed to focus in the near term on coordinating the efforts of all potential investors and participants in the reconstruction of our country, channeling investment into the most relevant and impactful sectors of the Ukrainian economy. Now, remember, it's the left that has been leading the cheerleading for this stupid scam of a war that didn't need to happen. The Ukrainians did not need to be killed. They did not be sent into this meat grinder hell. But you see, international corporations like BlackRock, those are the financial forces that have pushed this thing to happen. They didn't just sit around randomly and say, oh, I didn't know this was going to happen, and now I'm going to try to be a benevolent. No. They're taking advantage of something that they have been very much excited about lobbying and in supporting in their governments, that they have part of that $8 trillion leverage they've got. Same leverage, by the way, that allows pharmaceutical corporations to stack the CDC, the FDA, and NIH, and then stack the Twitter moderation policies, and then stack the headline news at CBS and their garbage, drug-addicted advertising budget. Trash, 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 BlackRock, all the way down. It's a steaming pile of black you-know-what. But so somehow Zelenskyy and Larry Fink, this is what Our Democracy Inc. supports. That an investment group gets to coordinate all potential investors and participants in the reconstruction of Ukraine. That's called corporate fascism, okay? And these dumb little leftists that talk about a big game, oh my goodness, we got to stop having the 1% take all the money. Remember who says that? The 1% are taking all of the money, the billionaire class. Okay, what do you think is going on here with Larry frickin' Fink and Zelenskyy? Who gave them that money? People like Bernie Sanders. Who gave them their narrative support? People like Bernie Sanders. They are not components of corporations. They're not opponents of corporations. They are allies of corporations, the giant, biggest ones of all. So when you see this near-term coordination of efforts of all potential investors, you are looking at corporate fascist takeovers of countries and assets in real time, made possible by our military-industrial complex, which is an asset of the same type of networks like BlackRock. Back in the States, New York City-based investment firm has been making major headlines. BlackRock. A report from the Wall Street Journal over the summer claimed BlackRock was one of the several major investment firms causing distortion in the housing market. The report laid out how BlackRock and firms like it are using their massive amounts of capital to buy up single-family houses, jacking up prices in the process. There are two immediate economic effects of the aforementioned price increase. First, higher housing costs benefit the properties already owned by BlackRock, especially in areas where the firm has invested heavily. The second effect is the artificially high prices crowd out working families, leaving only the wealthy or investment firms with massive amounts of capital at their disposal as the only players left in the market. In Houston, for example, the billionaire Fink reportedly accounts for 1/4 of recent home purchases. He's simply buying up entire neighborhoods and using them as rentals. You'll own nothing and you'll be happy about that. That's what any kind of rent-seeking middleman loser who couldn't create wealth to save his life, but certainly knows how to be a person in the middle to rent seek, right? You think he got there because of his own ingenuity, or do you think he got there because he's politically very well connected? But because of that, these dumb liberals who say, we want to take on the corporate class, hand the keys to the worst actors in corporations, like BlackRock, like Larry Fink, who then do a number on home ownership in America while they do a number on the Ukrainian society. The article goes on to say, it is all rather infuriating. One can almost guarantee BlackRock is getting paid handsomely by the Ukrainian government for advising on this reconstruction roadmap. And where is the Ukrainian government currently getting its funding? Given its economy is in shambles and war is an expensive undertaking, the United States government, of course. By the end of the calendar, the U.S. will have provided $13 billion in direct budgetary support for Ukraine's government to avoid shortfalls and outright bankruptcy. It's almost like Ukraine is the new state of America. I wonder what is it about Ukraine that makes them want to spend so much time and effort making it the new asset of the United States empire. So BlackRock gets paid by U.S. taxpayers, the article says, via the Ukrainian government to devise a plan that ensures the success of their future investments in Ukraine made from money gained by making American housing unaffordable. With a deal like that for our financial and political elite, why would they ever want peace? That's from Bradley Devlin of the American Conservative. It raises good questions. But this is the economy you have, folks. I still am looking for the left to wake up. They've got to have some intelligence and some compassion, some empathy, some connecting of the dots going on in this whole thing. They're supposed to be skeptical of corporate power. Why are they not saying, wait a second, what are we doing here? Why are we going along with carving out Ukraine for a few oligarchs to decide who gets to invest in what? Come on. That's everything the left says they stand against. But they also say they stand against neo-Nazis. They call Native American grandmas, like the protester in Canada that got trampled by a horse for refusing the COVID lockdowns and vaccine mandates during the trucker protest there. They called her a neo-Nazi, but then they support and gleefully, excitedly support real Nazis like the Azov Battalion who glorify their Nazi ancestors and their ideology and the emblems of such. So they say they hate corporate fascist economic policies and they hate billionaires carving out the economy at the expense of the poor and middle class. But then they support it and they aid it and they give every ounce of energy and stupid, useful idiot energy they can to those folks in Ukraine. And the same thing goes for, they say they stand against Nazism, and yet they're the ones who have supported the biggest bastion of neo-Nazism and all this stuff flourishing in the world stage in Ukraine. Azov Battalion. I'm not saying that everybody, of course, in the Ukrainian government has that view, or Ukrainians by and large have that view, but that seems to be a particular focus of the American government's involvement. Look at McCain, look at Lindsey Graham. They've had a long history of whipping up and helping to train and foment and target and radicalize and arm Nazi groups like Azov Battalion. And yet they tell you you're a Nazi if you cough it or you blink the wrong way when talking about their policies being an utter failure. They're just projecting their own ugly behavior onto you, folks. That's the only classic tactic they have left.